Guys, let's address the elephant in the room. If you're new to my channel, you don't know this until now, but I regularly make content about the video game company Capcom. Making Capcom videos results in me meeting a lot of really cool people who happen to enjoy the same thing that I do. People from various walks of life by complete chance and nothing else just so happen to passionately enjoy the same thing that I do. I mean, isn't that amazing? Like, just step back for a second and think about that. A whole group of people connected by a single energy that describes that entire group. A thread that sews us all together into a singular community of people. People who all unanimously love one thing. And if you couldn't guess, that thing all of us certified Capcom gamers have in common. The thing that we all like. Chun-Li Nude Mud! Fucking A, guys. Come on. Yeah, have you ever noticed some companies and their fan bases are just unbelievably fucking horny? And you know what bothers me the most about this? Purely on the basis that I happen to like Street Fighter, I tend to get dragged into this group. I tend to get sucked under the stereotype. And that's not fair, man. I'm not horny just because I happen to enjoy Street Fighter. I'm horny because I have terabytes upon terabytes of Leon smooching Mr. X. Jokes aside, guys, I find it interesting that in the gaming space, we have entire ecosystems of horn dogs. Ecosystems where artists from around the globe practice a trade that they've spent decades honing and crafting, just for someone to make nude mods for it on literal day one, aka making the game objectively better. Thank you very much. I want to make myself clear right now. I don't take any issue with fans of media being horny. That's actually not what this video is about, but it's something I plan to comment about in the future. That's its own bizarre world. I mean, motherfuckers are making porn a fucking Undertale. The mentality behind that shit. What I'm talking about in this video is something that seems unique in this weird world of horny gamers. A horny company. We're familiar with horny fans. We see them all the time. But have you seen a major game company act anywhere close to the way Capcom does on the regular? Sure, Blizzard created Tracer and unfortunately Diva.
Nerf this.
Square Enix created Tifa Lockhart. SNK has their own harem fighting game for fuck's sake. But Capcom, man, they made almost every goddamn hot anime wife in the fucking industry, my guy. Chun-Li, Jill Valentine, Lady, the other lady, Morrigan, Mia Fey, that one Mega Man robot whose literal entire design is just underboob. Sorry, Mega Man fans, but you're gonna be my punching bag this video. I could sit here and name them for ages, and that's kind of what this video is about. We're talking about one of the horniest companies I've literally ever known. One that I've got to know personally over the years. One that just so happens to be the company I make most of my content about. Capcom doesn't give their fans an inch to run a mile with. They give their fans the fucking continent. So I wanted to reflect a little on what it's like enjoying games by a company that has this aura of unadulterated horny all over it. I wanted to list some of my favorite occasions where Capcom themselves needed to go to horny jail. And then I wanted to talk about the symbiotic relationship Capcom has with its fans. Because I feel a lot of why Capcom fans are the way they are is because the company encourages them to be that way. And I actually don't think it's by accident either. I'm an expert at Capcom company lore by this point. I've been following this company for literally my entire life. But most importantly, guys, I play video games. The only woman who will chase me is Lady D. One funny Capcom horny moment I've been reflecting on a lot is Resident Evil 4. This is naturally because the remake came out this year, but I remember that when it did, there was the tiniest controversy about Ashley Graham's underwear. Think of the Tifa's tits argument on 4chan, except even more genuinely fucking dumb. For context, Capcom actually removed many quote-unquote Easter eggs where Ashley's pantaloons were visible to the player. I say Easter egg in quotes because it's basically if the entire Easter egg hunt was already in your basket to begin with. Someone at Capcom really went out of their way to make absolutely sure you know what color Ashley's underwear is. I don't think it's possible to even have a playthrough of the original RE4 without accidentally seeing up her skirt. At one point, they literally pan the camera towards her cooch. Now, while I find this very weird IMO, it is part of Resident Evil 4's identity. In a bizarre way, it's part of the charm of that game in specific. But I just want to show you this extensive list of all the possible ways you could witness Ashley's panties. It goes into straight up obsession, both on behalf of the creators of the game and the guy that I desperately hope wrote this review ironically. I'll read you a sample and I'll try not to laugh at it. No Ashley saying, "Oh, cute pervert." No Ashley saying, "Hey, what are you looking at? No animation of Ashley covering her skirt when you try to look it up and see her panties. No being able to freely stare at Ashley's panties from the bottom of a high enough ladder. No getting accidental Ashley upskirt dialogue when performing a suplex. What the fuck? It genuinely feels like I'm reading a post from Just an RPG. Like, what the actual fuck is this Steam review? I don't like to kink shame on my YouTube channel, but holy shit, man. I'm not an underwear guy, so maybe the people who are, I guess they're just built different, but I would never go to this length to program my fetish into a video game. Actually, I wouldn't program my fetishes into a video game in the first place. I know I joked earlier that I've never felt a woman's touch. That's not true, of course. I've dated women before. It's actually because I've been around women my entire life that I don't fuck with underwear. They get their underwear just as fucking nasty as guys do, and I want to touch neither. And dude, especially Ashley's. I hate to be the bearer of bad news for the Resident Evil 4 development team, but like, women be farting. In fact, women be shitting. And can you imagine what those ganados are feeding Ashley when they capture her? That bitch could be Johnny Sasaki reincarnated, and you want her underwear? I'm 10 feet away at all times, homie. Now, I was curious enough to do what I do best: research and analysis. Or the lack thereof. I actually tried to research why Resident Evil 4 had panty shots by typing exactly that into Google. All I got was people bitching that you can't see her underwear. Then I scrolled down, and I got the media bitching about the people bitching that you can't see her underwear. I was hoping I would find some obscure interview from someone working on the game who just happened to have some kind of statement that I could stretch throughout this video. Until I came to the realization, I've done this research before. It was while I was making a Street Fighter video. Let me introduce you to Street Fighter V, one of the biggest dumpster fires I've literally ever seen. In 2017, they released a DLC character named Yuri, but made drastic alterations to her appearance. She now wore a jumpsuit sporting a lot of cleavage, and I mean a lot of it. So much so that Capcom actually went back and replaced it with latex. Why they decided to hide the skin with latex as opposed to just zipping up the suit, I have no fucking idea. When this happened, people speculated that this was because of the esports league. Street Fighter V was Capcom's flagship esports game at the time. However, it's here I recall that we never actually got a definitive answer for this. People just speculated. They weren't curious enough for an answer, which is fair enough. I mean, it's just a video game character. But I noticed something even more bizarre. The Capcom fans didn't even care in the first place. Actually, some were upset that Yuri had cleavage no more. It's here I came to realize that Capcom does this because Capcom fans just don't give a fuck. Capcom fans don't care where the horny comes from. They want the horny, and they want it now. Jokes aside, obviously this is a generalization, but it's actually true to an extent. We've spent so much time fighting about some fictional college girl's underwear, but I hardly ever see anyone ask why her underwear was there to begin with. And I'm sure people have, but that's not what Google is showing me. Google is showing me the weirdos on the internet, not the actual logical people. I analyzed both sides of the argument and noticed another thing. The people screaming bloody murder over no panties are just weird Capcom fans. The people virtue signaling are just weird journalists and people who marinate their chicken in Mountain Dew like Movie Bob. The average Capcom fan is actually nowhere to be seen because they have better shit to do than argue on the internet. And here's the thing about Ashley's underwear. This isn't just some silly game in 2006. Nah, man, this is a recurring problem that Capcom has. In Resident Evil 6, yes, one of the sequels after 4, there's an entire mission where you stare up Helena's sister's dress and can see her underwear, and this lasts the entire mission, by the way. Capcom is actually no stranger to integrating fetish material in their games and not even being ashamed of it. If you've played a Capcom game, you could actually sit down and become depressed thinking about how many fetishes Capcom just put in all their games that we all just let slide. I mean, besides the obvious haha hourglass women and the really buff dudes, here's a handful that I was just able to rattle off the top of my head. You could argue that in Ace Attorney, there's breast expansion. At the very least, there's a basic transformation fetish thing going on. Now, why does it happen to the girl who's 17 and her even younger cousin? I have no fucking clue. I also distinctly remember a quest in Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate where you had to capture a giant spider purely for the reason that the person giving you the quest has apparently fallen in love with said giant spider. Jesus Christ, I'm starting to realize how many degenerates work at Capcom. One of the funniest moments I had while I was researching for the Just an RPG video was I stumbled onto a thread where some guy who was into Vor, I'm not even fucking shitting you, some guy who was into Vor was asking if the Resident Evil 2 remake had any Vor in it, and he actually got a non-ironic response. The guy replying basically said, yeah, if you just beat the fucking game twice and unlock the true ending, you can walk towards the big meat monster and it'll fucking devour you right there. Have fun spending 8 hours just to pop your load, my guy. Yeah, the final boss for Resident Evil 2 Remake, apparently someone's busted a nut to that. So by that token, you could say Capcom has Vor in their video games. I mean, hold on, let me record a PSA. Attention, all epic Vor gamers, go play Resident Evil. And speaking of Resident Evil 2 Remake, Claire happens to get really covered in dirt in that game. To all of you mud enjoyers, there you go. Do you like twinks? Guess you better get with the DMC fans. And Robophilia? Every Mega Man game. Oh shit, the Mega Man fans are getting called out. Now, I am purely joking. A lot of video games also happen to have these, usually by complete accident. But what's different about Capcom is I could literally sit here and keep doing this. I could ruin literally every series you hold dear if I really wanted to. That's how often Capcom does this stuff, and it makes me crack up every time. But I think I'll stop it there. I think you'd agree with me that, just kidding, your remains thought you were gonna get away, didn't you? I'm taking your PS5. You're grounded. This video is a mess. So we know Capcom is horny for sure. There's zero way that they're not. And I feel like this behavior tends to rub off on Capcom fans. I mean, I'm very much proof of that. I'm just one snap of the synapse away from putting straight up hentai in my videos. In a weird way, by Capcom being horny, we get this funny scenario where it almost feels like they encourage their audience to be horny. And it results in Capcom kind of playing along with their fans and ping-ponging shit to each other. I mean, look, everyone loves Chun-Li, but her thighs never get smaller in any game. They always get bigger, actually. We have Street Fighter 6, an actual photorealistic Street Fighter game, and her thighs are still giant. They even put her in yoga pants. That couldn't have been an accident, man. Most companies would make it a point to tone down her thighs and make her hips more realistic. Crystal Dynamics and Square Enix took that route with characters like Lara Croft and Tifa Lockhart. Lara Croft actually looks like a real woman and doesn't have pyramid head tits anymore. And they put Tifa in a sports bra. But Capcom seems like they're aware that Chun-Li's massive legs are part of their identity. They seem like they look at Chun-Li the same way all of us disgusting gamers do. Capcom likes big butts, and I mean, so do most of us. And here's the biggest revelation of all. It's here I start to realize that Capcom gets their audience because they are their audience. You might have watched this video and start wondering why I even like Capcom. A lot of this video has been criticism and poking fun at them and other Capcom enjoyers. Well, truth be told, everything I described in this video is actually why I like Capcom. Capcom has balls. They know their audience. They are their audience, and they fucking own it. There are so few companies that could be this genuine and relaxed with their identity and what the public thinks of them, and still win people over somehow. Capcom is like if your best friend was a company. It constantly rips on you, and you rip on it back. You scratch their back, and they're more than happy to scratch yours. It's a back and forth between a bunch of laughing, joking numbnuts who just want to create great things together. Capcom is easily one of the most human of the major game companies, hands down. I spent most of this video joking about how they are horny, but Capcom actually does communicate with and actually seem to have fun with their fans. They don't let bureaucracy and being a Japanese business stop them from enjoying what they do. You get the sense that Capcom actually non-ironically loves the games they create as much as their players do, in the exact same way that their players do. And I think it's because Capcom has a lot of humanity that it's not afraid to give their patrons exactly what they want, even if it's making Chun-Li's ass just a little bigger every game. But Rainin, didn't they remove Ashley's panties, I hear? Didn't they censor Yuri's chest? Yes, but I think those changes didn't come from a place of Capcom wanting to hide their lust. I think it came from a place of Capcom changing with the times. You could argue that seeing Ashley's panties was non-consensual. She verbally protested that she did not want you to see them, and understandably so. So maybe Capcom looked at that and said that realistically, this would make Leon, and by extension the player, an actual creep, and not the hero that they were trying to portray. You can also add in the fact that they changed her personality entirely. I mean, she went from comic relief to like an actual human being now. You could argue that latex is actually a much better fit for Yuri given her personality. Yuri evokes a lot of themes of the dominatrix. She's sadistic and her whole personality revolves around crushing you. Her dialogue is deliberately sexual in nature, to the point that other characters basically tell her to go to horny jail. general. And like I said earlier, if Capcom was embarrassed about including sexual stuff in their games, how do you explain like half of the Street Fighter 6 roster? How do you explain the comically hidden nudity in DMC5? Let's not get into the fact that Capcom created an easily modifiable game engine where you could basically rip and replace any model as easy as 1, 2, 3. Capcom is aware these nude mods exist. They've admitted it themselves. If Capcom was really that prude, why wouldn't they just change how their RE engine archives all of its packages? The best explanation I can give is Capcom knows their audience are adults. They can handle a little bit of tomfoolery. They see it all the time. To the point that now I can't help but wonder if, ironically enough, more companies should be like Capcom. We spent this entire video establishing Capcom as the funny, horny company, but is it possible that that's the play? That maybe all these other companies just take themselves too seriously? And I think the answer is yes. I think all these other game companies, EA, Nintendo, Activision, they might benefit a lot from seeing themselves less as a business and more as a group of people who just want to make cool games. They pretend to do it mostly because that's the PR department's job. But Capcom is a rare company that seems to actually do it. So I want to ask you guys in the comments down below, what's a way that any game company you can think of could show a little more humanity? What's something you just wish another company could change for the better? Should every game company be just a little more horny? Okay, I'm just fucking with you. But I hope you can all agree with me that maybe, just maybe, in some bizarre way, Capcom being horny is actually a great thing for that company. It's representative of an atmosphere at the company that breeds creativity, even if it's a tiny bit cringe. Or the more likely option, I'm fucking batshit insane and you did not follow me this entire video. Either way, I hope you enjoyed hearing me ramble and joking around a little bit. Much like Capcom, I don't take my YouTube channel very seriously, so there you go. Speaking of my YouTube, hey, I'm Raiden Noodles, and if you want more fun and edgy Capcom videos, then why don't you help out Chun-Li right there? Beat that motherfucking subscribe button. I heard it was kink shaming you. This is the beginning of a new series of Capcom videos I'm planning to make, where I discuss all of the weird quirks on how the company operates. This is just the pilot episode for that, and I mean, I couldn't think of a better topic to pick than the #1 thing that jumps to everybody's mind when they think of Capcom. Speaking of which, this video will get a sequel where we do a deeper dive into Capcom fans, and then maybe even a part 3 where we discuss in depth all of these nude mods. There's a treasure trove of topics for me to work with though. I mean, there's Capcom's weird relationship with women, there's the birth of Capcom in general, there's people shoving each other down elevators and sending them down to the bottom floor. I mean, there's all sorts of weird shit going on over there that I can't wait to talk about. So I hope you're all excited for this mini lore and analysis series. That's all I have to say. Go get yourself a beer or some edibles, my guy. Have yourselves a relaxing day. Peace. By the way, don't forget to stop by the new Discord. I almost forgot to plug that. Some of you probably didn't even notice I was using music from Yeek in the background. Oh, yep, everybody's unsubscribing now.